Little girls, Miss Jean Brodie announces imperiously at the front of the classroom here at the Marcia Blaine School for Girls, calling us to order, demanding our immediate attention. And I pay attention, of course, for I am a little girl. She is speaking to me. Although at 6 years old, I am younger than Miss Brodie's 13-year-old pupils. Perhaps I'm even too young to be attending this PG-rated movie, but I'm accompanied by my parents, after all, and it's about a school teacher and her devoted students in 1930s Scotland, they probably reasoned, if they ever reasoned about such things. So how inappropriate could it be? And how could this impassioned, in her prime, Miss Jean Brodie, Oscar-winning Maggie Smith at her fine-boned loveliest, offer anything to a little girl but the wisest counsel, the sagest of lessons on life, especially in that enchanting Scottish burr? Miss Jean Brodie. I'm not going to do the Scottish burr. Miss Jean Brodie. Little girls, I am in the business of putting old heads on young shoulders, and all my girls are the creme de la creme. Give me a girl at an impressionable age, and she is mine for life. And those unformed little girls, pudgy or scrawny, spotty or velvet-cheeked, with their unfortunate juvenile haircuts and baggy school uniforms, gaze at her adoringly, fully under her spell. I adore her too. Whatever the creme de la creme is, it is obviously the best thing to be. Miss Brodie offers a secret knowledge beyond spelling and geography and math. She seeks to illuminate all the possibilities of life, of art and poetry and love to her girls, to provide you with interests, she promises, to nurture their natural proclivities for romantic passion above all else, and I am eager to be privy to these teachings. I am almost jealous of the special attention Miss Brodie pays to her favorites, Jenny and Sandy, especially Jenny, whom Miss Brodie deems prettiest, the one most destined to be famous one day, she says dreamily, for sex. I do not understand what being famous for sex could possibly mean, only that it is, like being the best creme, clearly the thing to aspire to. And so I am determined to pay extra good attention than I might learn. Miss Brodie has recently ended a love affair with Teddy Lloyd, the art teacher with a wife and flock of children. Their once glorious time together has turned prosaic, lost its idealized sheen. Miss Brodie's not done with him, however. She sees an opportunity in pretty but bland young Jenny to create a romantic scenario, a Dante and Beatrice-esque love affair between the 40-ish Teddy and the budding teen. A relationship that will rejuvenate and re-inspire an older man to greatness and awaken the young girl to the glory of sexual maturity. And so, over the next few years, she grooms the clueless Jenny to replace her in Teddy's bed. But it is Sandy, Pamela Franklin, now 17, bespectacled and plain, the one who has developed a resentful edge and caustic wit, the one Miss Brodie has desexualized by deeming her well-suited for an emotion-free career as a spy, who ultimately plays that role. Viewing Teddy's portrait of Jenny, Sandy sees in its resemblance to Miss Brodie Teddy's still infatuated homage. Left alone with him, she taunts with her insight, and he, taken aback by her provocative, challenging glare, grabs and kisses her. I am alarmed at this assault, but relieved when she flees safely from the studio, both of us frightened little girls. But very soon we jump back to a scene that jolts and stuns me. Teddy, decked out with paintbrush and spattered smock, in rejuvenated, inspired artist mode, is absorbed in a new painting of, it is revealed, Sandy, who is now reclined, womanly and self-assuredly nude on a divan, the artist's muse, the precocious little Beatrice to his middle-aged Dante, the expanse of her bare flesh glowing startlingly bright white. Pamela Franklin was 18 when this film was made, and extraordinary to hold your own against Maggie Smith. As were the other girls of the Brodie set, some even older, but in the early scenes they are entirely believable as 13-year-olds, thanks to subtle tricks of hairstyling and makeup, the oversized desks and The oversized desks and shapeless uniforms, their girlish postures, and child-timbred voices. I have invested in and related to these schoolgirl characters as fellow children, even if they are a few critical years older than I am. And it is a shock to now see Sandy on naked self-display to the lustful gaze of this grown man. She is posed as a knowing, sensual woman, yes, but her breasts are tiny, childish almonds, and her face, without her glasses, looks even more pubescently fresh scrubbed here than in her earlier scenes. Is she woman or girl? I can no longer define her. The boundaries and implications of her femaleness have blurred, and I am confused. Her exposed, tender skin feels all wrong. It is not the clinical nakedness of the pediatrician's office or the summertime scampering without bathing suits around the pool under the careless watch of indifferent parents. This intimate scene of adult and child, of man and girl, frightens me, implicates, and unbalances me. Sandy's soft, naked vulnerability is now somehow mine, and sitting there in the theater next to my mother and father, I feel unsafe. I feel danger and fear and shame. And yet, Sandy tires of posing, stands, stretches. Like Teddy, we are invited to appraise her bare back, dimpled rear end, slender limbs, and pulls on a crotch-length sweater. Teddy tosses away the paintbrush and pushes her back onto the divan, mock bemoaning and self-chastising that he has a schoolgirl for a mistress. And she pulls the sweater away so he might kiss her throat, her breasts, caress those young shoulders that now definitely have an old head upon them. Sandy, my age does bother you, doesn't it? How much longer are you going to be tempted by this firm young flesh? Teddy, until you're 18 and over the hill. Sandy, I really shouldn't feed your depraved appetites, she teases, reveling in his passion. And I find myself dizzied again by this next new tilt to the world. She is the one in control here, I realize, with her deliberate unveiling and offering of her firm young flesh. She is in charge, and this adult man is rendered powerless by his hunger for this alluring child woman. I am not entirely sure what he is hungry for, what lies at the core of this appetite, or the mysterious, delicious force she possesses, but I am allured as well. I like the satisfied smile on her face and his mumbling delirium. I have never witnessed this before, the little girl as tantalizer, as temptress. It suddenly seems such a desirable thing to be. This is the perhaps unwise counsel and secret knowledge that I take away from this film, the new interest Miss Brody may or may not have wished to provide me, that my little girlness does not only or necessarily make me vulnerable, it is also a source of sexual power. Taxi Driver and Bugsy Malone both opened in theaters in 1976, and both featured a whiskey-voiced child actress named Jodie Foster, who seems familiar to me as a tomboyish Becky Thatcher from Disney's Tom Sawyer, from suntan lotion commercials and wholesome episodes of The Courtship of Eddie's Father. But that little innocent girl is gone. In Taxi Driver, Foster plays Iris, a 12-year-old prostitute, whom an increasingly unhinged Travis Bickle, Robert De Niro, spends the second half of the movie seeking to save. I am also 12 years old, and watching this movie, I grimace and hide my face from Scorsese's blood spatter violence. I'm a little bored by Travis's pursuit of an older, uptight blonde lady, but I cannot take my eyes off of Iris and her doll-like ringlets, hustling tricks in her midriff-bearing blouse, her hot pants and clunky platform shoes. The overt sexualization of this child is even more disconcerting for me than Sandy's abrupt nudity. And I try to block out the sinister voice of Iris's pimp, Harvey Keitel, bartering with Travis for her services. Pimp. Man, she's 12 and a half years old. You can do anything you want with her. You can come on her, you can fuck her in the mouth, fuck her in the ass, come on her face, man, but no rough stuff, all right? I know just enough about sex and the words of sex to be shocked by this speech, made all the more harsh by its sotto voce delivery, but not enough to fully comprehend it. All I can really think is, but she's standing right there, she can hear you, and she's only 12, like me. But I don't know if I'm thinking of Iris, the character, or Jodie Foster, the actress. Either way, this is all too assaultively explicit for me to process or make sense of. And what did my parents think, if anything, watching this movie with their Iris-aged daughter? I want my Becky Thatcher back. I want this little girl romping safely at the seashore, her mother lovingly, protectively slathering on the Coppertone. However, at the same time, I can wholly relate to Iris as an object of a certain kind of interest, as Miss Brodie might say. My own mother, muddy brunette and Rubenesque, who still cannot believe she has produced a thin, pretty little blonde girl, likes to dress me in mini skirts and snug or strappy tops. She likes me to curl and poof my straight, stringy hair and put a little makeup on. She has bought me 3-inch high cork wedgies and likes to show me off this way. She values the male gaze, has encouraged my flirtatious precocity, and takes an especial delight in the attention my prettiness receives from adult men. The guy painting our house, who offers to keep an eye on me while my mother goes shopping, then asks me to keep him company so he won't be lonely while he works. So do you like school? Do you have a boyfriend? My parents' avuncular Scotch-drinking attorney, who at parties playfully catches me by the waist and pulls me, giggling, onto his lap and holds me close. By now, at 12 years old, I have learned there are adult men who are friendly to a cute little girl, and that is all. And there are adult men who gaze at me in a certain way, whose smile has a nervous yet appreciative edge, and I understand there is a difference. There is something some adult men want or need from me that I instinctively get, that I enjoy and encourage, that makes me feel important and adult and wise, gives me a heady thrill, that makes me feel powerful, which I otherwise, in my set the table, do your homework, little girl life, do not. I might not think to describe their interest as depraved appetite, but I recognize the hunger, just as I on some subconscious level understand that Iris's prostitute outfit is designed to enhance the childishness of her undeveloped body rather than hide it, because her value lies in the specific illicit alchemy of her youth and her sex. In later scenes, when Iris is dressed like a regular adolescent, androgynous t-shirt, no makeup, hair as stringy and straight as my own, an ordinary girl I might be in 7th grade with, I find her far less interesting. And I still relate more comfortably to the Iris dressed in her child prostitute work clothes, with the assured, throaty voice and knowing streetwalker dialogue that makes her seem so adult, so wise, and in control. She's a grown woman in the body and skimpy dress of a sweet baby doll, and Travis's chivalric, gory, climactic shootout with her pimp confirms that this is something worth killing for. Foster embodies that intriguing juxtaposition just as charismatically in Bugsy Malone, yet there is a reverse dynamic at play. In Alan Parker's Bizarro World parody of 1920s gangster films, all roles are played by child actors running around in 1920s adult costumes and talking like Jimmy Cagney and Jean Harlow. Foster plays Tallulah, the shimmery, smoky-eyed, speakeasy chanteuse. She is a little girl meant to pass as an adult woman. Her youth is meant to be entirely obscured rather than exploited, and yet that is still the wink-wink conceit of the film. Look at this child in the dress of a grown-up gangster moll. I am as fascinated by Tallulah as I was by Iris, and there's no creepy Keitel threat to disconcert me here, no too graphic sexualizing of Foster's youthful beauty, but she is still suggestively erotic in a way that enthralls me. She is the creme de la creme of the speakeasy, the leading lady and star of the show of this whole movie for me. I am just as beguiled by Sandy and Iris and Tallulah as all these men are. But I want to be these child women. I want what they have. I want to capture and channel and emulate their satiny female mastery of the world. I am beginning to understand, I think, being famous for sex And thanks to these cinematic Lolitas, I have determined that power lies in being an innocent little girl with the empowered sexual assurance of a grown woman. And then there's a brief epigraph, a quote from Maurice Chevalier in Gigi, singing, "Thank heaven for little girls, those little eyes so helpless and appealing." It is later in that same Iris and Tallulah year, I am still 12 years old, and I'm sitting on the toilet, peeing, my white cotton panties at my feet. There's a party downstairs, family, friends, very festive, here in my grandmother's house, and I've chosen the upstairs master bathroom to considerately leave the downstairs one for guests. And because it is so secluded, I haven't bothered to lock the door. There is a knock, but not much of one, enough that I stop peeing, startled, and the door immediately opens and my cousin Morris is standing there. He is a cousin by marriage, some lineage through my grandmother's many siblings I can never keep straight. He is 50-ish, a leisure suit, a graying pompadour. He puts on a show of startled, "Oh, sorry, didn't know you were up here, honey," but then lounges in the doorway, studying me, an appreciative smile on his face, while I mumble something like, "Oh, that's all right." I even apologize, perhaps, for being there. I am frozen. I am sitting on the toilet, staring at my white cotton panties at my feet. I have never liked this cousin Morris, too huggy, too kissy, too much honey. And I am unsure what to do. He is not the candy-offering, trench-coated stranger in the dark alley I have been warned about. He is doing nothing wrong, really, not advancing on me. Nothing like Teddy's initial grab and kiss assault on Sandy. Nothing more wrong than the rudeness at walking in on someone in the bathroom and not immediately retreating, as one should. I can't call for help. Help for what? What can happen? He's just standing there in the doorway, smiling and studying me. He is a cousin. He is male. He's an adult, the adult male. He finally leaves after a frozen forever, and I pull up my panties. I flush. I wash my hands and count to 10 and hurry downstairs where I hug the wall at the opposite side of the room for the rest of the evening and tell no one, because tell what? It is a minor incident. A nothing happened. It is a ridiculously trivial thing to remember after all these years. But I do remember. My thin, naked thighs and the humiliating white glow of my panties and my urine turning green the blue water of the toilet bowl and the ice-clinking party sounds of far away downstairs and wanting it to be a nothing thing that isn't happening here. He is very large, standing in the doorway, and I want to think there is nothing to fear because, after all, I am in control, right? I have lured a grown adult man into pursuit of me, away from a party, up a flight of stairs, into standing in a bathroom doorway, gazing upon a young girl in an intimate moment. I have driven behavior. See how alluring I am? How powerful? But I don't feel powerful. There is no glory in this. The assurance of the moment is not mine. I have no mastery. I am no Beatrice, no precious muse to inspire poetry or great art or love. I am no teasing Sandy, no seasoned baby doll Iris, no slinky Tallulah. I am a toilet, honey, a dirty underwear girl, a crushable cockroach child. This adult man's interest, temptation, depraved appetite is no comment on me, of course. I am in no way responsible. I'm only a little girl. But in that moment, I can't know that. I'm only a little girl. Thank you.